Well, greetings from Lucknow. Today we'll be talking about introduction to experimental research in medicine. Before trying to understand research itself, let us first of all think about research about ourselves only. So, who are we? Basically, we are perceiving, reacting human beings. Perceiving, reacting. That's what life is about. So, you perceive an event in your consciousness, then you analyze it, classify it into pain producing, pleasure producing, or neutral. You don't react to neutral things that don't affect you. That is called as habituation. And you memorize how to best react to the painful and the pleasurable things. So, this is exactly what happens when you have to decide for the community or your patient that you are trying to treat. And perceiving well is what is research. So, what basically bothers us? Painful or pleasurable? What doesn't bother us? Neutral. So, what needs to be reacted to? Painful and pleasurable events that occur in our consciousness from birth to death. How do we react? So, we study the event, we determine whether it is painful or pleasurable or neutral, which can be ignored. We try to quantify how painful or pleasurable, and we try to find out it affects how many, and that is the amount of weight that we give to that event. Then we try to find out the best remedy to avoid pain and seek pleasure when we face the event next time. As you see, the whole country is preparing for the third wave of corona. So that is exactly the planning and memorizing part of it, how to best react to it. So, how to choose the best remedy? What are the characteristics of the best remedy? It must be most effective, it must be least costly, it must be least risky, and it must be reliably doable in our settings or in the settings that we can refer the problem to. Reliably means reproducibly. Anybody doing it should be able to do it with the same degree of expertise. So, how to decide the best way out? Supposing there are three or four remedies to a problem, so how to decide the best way out is to understand. You see, the basic way we did was understand by plausibility. For example, if we say that ivermectin stops the ACE virus from binding to the ACE receptor, it blocks the replicase mechanism of the ribosome so that the virus cannot replicate. And thirdly, it blocks the virus transportin, helping the virus to enter the nucleus so that the inflammatory cascade is stopped and the interferon mechanism which warns other cell of a viral attack remains intact. That is why giving ivermectin in COVID-19 should help. But the issue is, did it help? So if we say that in patients who got ivermectin, 68 survived as compared to 100 when they did not get ivermectin. So that is experience. So the paradigm of medicine then shifted from plausibility based decisions to experience based decisions, from what should happen, which is plausibility based decision, to what did happen, which is the probability based decision. And of course, as we rise higher and higher in our careers, we move from ourselves, deciding for ourselves, or deciding about our own near and dear ones, to deciding about our patients, to deciding about the community, and for deciding about the nation, and finally to deciding about the world. If we are the chairman or the secretary general of the UNO, we'll be deciding about the world. The important research question is lot of relief or lot of happiness to large numbers. But before you start researching on it, you must be sure that it has not already been sufficiently answered. So if you face a dilemma about whether you should give this treatment or that treatment, you should be honest enough to say, I don't know. You should go to literature. You should find out which of these treatments has given a lot of relief to and a lot of happiness to large numbers, and you must be sure that it has not been answered satisfactorily, not been already answered satisfactorily. Then we talk of the science of epidemiology, which is so alien to clinicians. You remember your undergraduate definition of epidemiology, which is studying the distribution and determinants of disease. Now, here we call it event of interest. For example, getting cured is not disease, it is an event of interest. So, replacing this determinant of disease by event of interest is the present definition of epidemiology. So, there are all W's, 5 W's. What happened should be precisely defined. For example, you must not say a case of fever as case of COVID-19. Your diagnosis should not have false positives or false negatives. So what is the event of interest must be properly defined. When did it occur and where did it occur? And in whom did it occur? And why did it occur? So when and where is extremely important. You should know how when the epidemic started, how did it spread geographically, and whom it is affecting, which is the target population, and why is it happening. For example, what is the agent, what is the method of transmission, what are the characteristics of host that make them susceptible. And finally, when you know all this, when you come to know all this, which is part of research, then you say, then what? What needs to be done or not done? And then you start choosing remedies. Remedies that will maximize pleasure, that will reduce the pain the maximum, which are the lowest in cost, lowest in risk, and easily reproducible or logistically doable. Then out of all the remedies, you need to compare these remedial acts in terms of cost, effectivity, risk, doability, And that comparison forms what is called as experimental research. Learning it is attending such workshops and courses. Mastering it is by doing, improving by correcting mistakes pointed to by friends or peer reviews during attempt to publish. And you will be absolute masters if you teach others to do how to do and help others how to do good experimental research to compare remedies to problems. So, woods are lovely, dark, and deep. I have ignited your curiosity, but I have promises to keep and miles to go before our sleep. So, I leave you to treat further on these lines and become great researchers. My best wishes. Thanks for the kind listening. And this last slide gives you the links which you can use to get some more practical hints. And I would advise you to read this last slide carefully so that you understand what are the pitfalls in trying to do this research. And this pitfall, major pitfall, is confounders, and how this beautiful technique of random allocation to treatment groups can deal with both known and unknown confounders.